There's no doubt that if you get a monthly power bill, you know about the high cost of electricity. In fact, utility rates across the United States increased by 40% between 2000 and 2007. Much of that is because of the rising cost of fuel and the cost of providing all those power plants to provide the electricity. This year, the City of Leesburg will implement several important programs to help empower customers to conserve energy and to save money. Join us as we find out a lot more about this information. Paul, thanks for joining us. This is an exciting topic and we got a lot of information to get through, but thank you again for joining us.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Great. Paul, for those who are not familiar, could you please introduce us a little bit about what is Leesburg Electric and tell us a little bit about the service and the customers you serve?
Well, thank you very much. The Leesburg Electric serves about 50 square miles, serving the city of Leesburg, the city of Fruitland Park, and surrounding areas of Lake County. We have about 24,000 customers, 3,000 of which are commercial, so we have a lot more residential customers than commercial customers.
Gotcha. About how long has the utility been around?
The utility was formed, I believe, in 1926. I wasn't here at that time, but we've been around quite a while.
Wow, that's a long time. And as you mentioned, you haven't been around all that time, but you have been in the utility business for a long time. You're an expert in the field. About how long have you been in it?
Well, actually, this last January, I celebrated my 43rd year in the industry.
Wow. So with your experience in the electric industry, what are the biggest changes you see with Leesburg Electric and electric utilities in general?
Well, the industry is moving from a very stagnant business as usual type of an industry to the incorporation of communications and control technologies that are going to, in my opinion, turn the industry upside down eventually.
Wow. So basically they're becoming more informative, giving the customers more information. Is that what we're going to be talking about?
Well, actually, buying your utilities is about the only thing that you buy where you don't know how much you used and how much it's going to cost you until 10 days after somebody's read the meter and you get a bill.
That's very true. I mean, that's most people's experience with the electric business is that they don't know what it is and then they get that bill and sometimes it can be quite shocking.
Yes.
So basically, providing information, as we'll go over, is going to provide a lot of assistance in that front. But the cost of energy has also gone up quite a bit over time.
Well, you know, the cost of energy is based upon the world market. The United States is not alone and is not one of the primary consumers anymore. And others are in control of many aspects of our energy resources. Natural gas, however, is one resource that we have here that we have a plentiful supply of.
Wow. So even though we're not able to control the cost of energy, what we're going to be talking about today is a little bit of ways that we can actually gain some control by informing our customers.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, do you expect that, as we've seen over the past few years, I think between 2000 and 2007, energy costs, electric costs specifically across the country, rose an average of 40%, which is quite a big jump. Do you expect that, like these wholesale energy costs that Leesburg Electric as a utility have to work with in delivering electricity, do you expect that they'll continue to go up?
Well, without intervention or engagement of our customers into controlling our demand primarily, then the cost will continue to go up. However, we have a big opportunity to partner with our customers because the interesting fact is that energy costs are not the same throughout the day or throughout the month, even though they're being billed at an equal amount.
Mm-hmm. And with that, what we're going to be talking about a little bit is about informing the customer, providing more information, and maybe changing their habits about how they use energy throughout the day. Is that where we're going to go?
That's right. Giving customers, just like you have an opportunity to shop for groceries or gasoline or any other product, we're giving you an opportunity to understand. So there's an education and an information element in there that the price of the wholesale power is not the same every hour.
So basically, energy costs will continue to rise without our control, but a customer empowered with information provided by these utility upgrades can gain more control to better manage their power bills.
Well, it's just like when you go shopping for gasoline. There are some stations that may be more expensive than others. The price changes over time. Prices rise, prices fall. The same thing occurs in the electric utility business, but the customers don't have access to that information. So this is basically what we're enabling our customers with information and education and notification of when these prices are rising.
Okay. And with this year, the crux of this matter is that Leesburg Electric is doing a major improvement this year. And we're going to go through that and talk quite a bit about that later. And these are exciting changes and exciting improvements, but it all comes down to providing better information for the customer.
Right. Our project is all about the customer. And Leesburg was one of 400 electric utilities throughout the country that applied for a Smart Grid Investment Grant, and one of 100 that received an award from the Department of Energy. So the work that we're doing is very important to the nation as well as to our customers here, and it's being done for 50 cents on the dollar.
Well, let me go back to the first part of that is that Leesburg is not unique in doing these type of improvements to better inform the customers. This is a national trend.
Exactly.
And it
exactly.
has got a lot of support from the federal government. I understand that over more than $3 billion, I understand, went to those 100 utilities and companies.
Well, actually, Robert, it's an international trend.
Really?
In fact, Europe is further along in the strategies, the development and deployment of the strategies that we're just now beginning.
Really? So we're actually a little bit behind the eight ball a little bit as a nation.
All right.
Wow, that is amazing, and I'm sure a lot of folks who buy electricity don't think that much about how the electricity is created or delivered, but I guess as we become more conscious of how we consume energy and deal with the cost of living, that is something we actually have to become more attuned to.
Right.
And now, with this, I wanted to ask a little bit about what can, like a residential customer, let's start with a residential customer because we know we have commercial customers and residential. A residential customer, the first and foremost thing before we get into a lot of details about how they can go about saving energy is like, what might they expect to save? I mean, what kind? Are we looking at somebody who has a $300 bill being reduced to a $50 bill a month, or what are we looking at for expectations?
Well, we really don't know, how the city of Leesburg customers are going to react, but we are following very closely what other utilities are experiencing. One in particular that we're following, one utility, is Oklahoma Gas and Electric. And Oklahoma Gas and Electric had a 3,000 customer pilot in 2010. They expanded that during the summer of 2011 to 3,000 more customers for a total of 6,000 customers. And what they found was customers that had a programmable communicating thermostat that they allowed to the utility to control based upon the parameters that the customer would allow, those customers saved 33% of energy usage during the peak.
Really?
As a matter of fact, the maximum that was saved was 57%. So there's a huge opportunity there with very little inconvenience or no inconvenience really for customers to save. Now that's not going to turn a $300 utility bill and electric bill into a $150 bill because we're only talking about a few hours during the month.
Yeah, and I guess it depends because the average electric customer is really, there is not an average. Everybody's specific. We actually have retirees on fixed incomes live in smaller homes. We have large families with 5 or 6 kids maybe sometimes. So I imagine it all depends on the amount of energy you use and your ability to be able to cut back at some points.
Well, let me just offer this. We said that you don't know how much you've used and how much it's going to cost you until the meter reader reads and you get the bill. Well, one of the aspects of our project will be a web portal. Many of our customers, and I'm one, I check my bank balance, particularly the checking account that my wife and I share, because we want to make sure that we have enough funds in there to cover the expenses. Well, with the new technology with the electric meters, you can set a budget. You can say, I don't want to spend more than $150 this month, and you can track how you're doing. real time, near real time.
Wow.
And if you're beginning to push up to that number, you can either you make your own decision. Okay, well, let's bump our budget up to 175, or here are some suggestions you can do to save electricity and bring that back within budget.
Ties back to what we're referring to, is that the utility upgrades that you're going to be bringing in this year provides more information to the customer, helping them maybe look at how, more specifically, how they're using energy and possibly changing their habits a little bit so they can kind of manage their bill.
Exactly, and the key point there is, Robert, that while we're deploying technology, it's not about the technology itself. It's about what will the benefits be to consumers.
That's true. The technology is wonderful, and we got a lot to cover on that front because there's a lot of exciting benefits, but it truly is empowering the customer, but the customer is the most important key there.
Absolutely.
It's changing the habits.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then I mentioned that I started out asking a question about residential customers, but wanted to make sure, though, what we're going to be talking about a little bit in this unveiling of this exciting project is that commercial customers are going to be part of it too, businesses and such, right?
Absolutely, and in fact, we're going to offer to our small commercial customers the same technologies that we're offering to the residential customer, and we're already partnering with the hospital and the public stores, and others will be coming online soon to partner with us and gain some benefits.
Wow. Well, I know from knowing you, Paul, here at the city, that you have actually been researching and testing the technology that you're looking to implement here for a couple of years. Could you tell me a little bit about how Leesburg kind of got started with that, with the testing of it?
Yes, and about 6 years ago, we saw that our wholesale power supply costs were trending in the wrong direction. Not the energy cost, but the demand charge. And I'll just explain for a minute what the demand charge is. Mm-hmm. The demand charge is what we pay during the peak demand hour during the month. So for 719 hours out of the month, we pay from 3 to 5 cents a kilowatt hour for the energy. During that one coincident peak hour.
Now, when you say pay, you mean the utilities paying a power plant for that?
The utility. It's the utility wholesale power supply cost. So during that 1 hour of the coincident peak, we're paying $25, as much as $25 for the same kilowatt hour that we're selling for 12.5 cents.
So you mean that you're buying energy from the power plants in this area, and you're paying that one lower amount during most of the month, but during one peak time when most people are using the most energy, you're paying some 400 times that amount?
That's right.
That's huge.
And to put that into context, if you bought gasoline, if your gasoline supplier had the same methodology, then for 719 hours, you could buy gas for, let's say, $3.50, a little bit more now, but it'd be $1,500 a gallon during that peak hour. So you naturally wouldn't want to have to buy gasoline during that hour.
Wow. Now, obviously, we're talking about 1 hour during the month, but there actually is a peak every day when most people are using the most energy. When does that actually happen?
Okay. Well, during the winter months, the peak is going to occur on the coldest mornings, and the peak hour actually is between 7 and 8, or between 8 and 9, depending upon what the temperatures really are. In the summer, it's much more predictable, and there it's hour ending between 3 and 4, or between 4 and 5 on the hottest day. Yeah. Now, we frequently have 3 hot days in a row, so we have to watch our wholesale what's being delivered to the utility, and we try to mitigate how much we're taking, and we're deploying some strategies to do that now in order to keep our costs down.
Wow. Well, I want to explore a little bit about the first part of this equation, is talking a little bit about the meters and how the meter will provide more information. But I want to make sure we kind of bring up to where we're at right now on this discussion, is that what we're going to be talking a little bit about is helping the customer, providing more information to the customer to conserve energy, but to conserve during the peak time. And the peak time being when most people use the most energy, and when the utility has to pay the most for that energy to provide to the customer. So you're trying to take the most expensive time when it's the most expensive for you to provide electricity as a utility. You're trying to address that specific time and get customers to curb during that peak time, warmest days in the afternoons, and if it's cold in the mornings.
Right.
A lot of information, but I'm sort of getting you on this one. That seems to be a real smart thing. So you're trying to curb the most expensive time to provide electricity. You're trying to curb those demands.
Right.
All right, well, it sounds pretty exciting. I really want to find out a little bit more and talk to you a little bit more about the first part of this, where the information comes from and how the meter will work with customers. Can you show me a little bit about how to do that?
Yes. Yes, the technology is a similar technology to Wi-Fi in your home. It's not exactly the same, but it's internet protocol based, and the meter will actually record the electricity that's being used, and it'll store that information within the meter every 15 minutes. That information will then be available to customers through a web portal, just like going to your bank account and checking, to see how your balance is. And every 4 hours, that meter information will be communicated to the utility wirelessly. So, one of the big changes that takes place there is the meter reader will no longer be coming over to your home once a month to take a reading. Those readings will be taken every 15 minutes, and that information will be available to the utility as well as to the customer.
Wow.
So they can better judge when and make better purchasing decisions.
Well, that's really interesting. Can you maybe take me out and show me this? Because I really like to see it a little bit. And actually, can you do that for us?
Yeah, actually we've had 140 of these meters installed, or similar meters, that have been installed since January the 8th of 2009.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought you had been testing this for quite a bit. And
Right.
how have they performed so far?
They've performed flawlessly.
Paul, this looks a lot like your beautiful home. Can you tell us a little bit about how the new smart meters are different or not from the regular meters? Because they look a lot alike.
Well, actually, the functionality, Robert, is exactly the same. It's just like some of the digital meters that we have deployed. The only difference is it's communicating. So it can communicate two ways. It can receive information from the utility, and it sends the readings remotely to the utility.
Okay. Now, with the new meter, I know it's got a lot of new technology and has a lot of great features that'll help the customers, but is the new meter any more accurate than an older meter?
Well, all of our electric meters meet the same standards for accuracy, and these are federal standards.
Okay. Now, do you test the old meters as well as the new ones to make sure they're all reading exactly accurate?
When we replace a meter or we bring a meter in, we do test it. We also have the capability to test the meter if the customer believes that the meter is inaccurate. But the fact is, meters are very accurate.
Okay. Now, we've already discussed a little bit about the new meters are important because they can actually record in 15-minute increments and give the customer information about how they're using power during the day. So the thing is, with this, when will they actually begin installing the meters?
Okay. Well, these test meters we've had in since 2008 right now. We'll be installing the new GE meters during July and August of this year. And every customer will get a new digital meter.
Okay. And now, as each meter is being installed, how long does it take at like a house or a business? How long does it actually take to swap out a meter?
It takes about 5 minutes. We'll take a remove reading on the existing meter. We'll record that electronically and digitally. We'll cut the seal, pull this meter out, install the new meter, put the cover back on, replace the seal, and the whole process takes about 5 minutes.
That's pretty quick. That's not bad at all. So you can be in and out within about 5 minutes. Now, what can the customers expect? Will they be notified ahead of time when the meter's going to change?
We're going to have several notification methodologies. One, we're going to be sending out letters a week or so before we actually change out the meters, and then as the meter change out is occurring, we'll knock on the door. Of course, customers don't have to be home in order for us to change out the meter.
Now, Paul, I'm curious to answer a little bit of the questions that the customers may have. When you're taking out a meter in the middle of the month, the old meter has data on it about their electric usage, and you swap in a new meter. what happens? How do you make sure that the customer is going to get billed accurately for that month?
Okay. Well, we're going to take a reading of the meter, of the existing meter, and it'll be called the removal reading. Then we take that meter out. We're going to secure it and keep it for a period of time. Then we cut the seal and we remove the cover. We take the meter out. We put the new meter in, replace the cover, reseal with a new seal, and we move on to the next location.
Okay, so you're documenting what the numbers are between the meters so that the customer will get an accurate bill after the change.
That's correct. In fact, we're going to take a picture of the reading in the
Really?
old meter, and all the new meters will be set at 0, but we're also going to document that along with the serial number of the meter at each location.
Okay. Now, I've heard a little bit of concern out there that folks have had more or less curiosity, maybe unfamiliarity about the new meters, about the wireless aspect of it, and some concerns about that. Could you tell us a little bit, address that about the wireless and how it may or may not affect any activities in the home?
Yes, well, the radio waves are not going to interfere with any of the other activities or any of the other wireless elements within homes. And the meter itself will record readings every 15 minutes. And then every 4 hours, the meter will communicate those 4 hours worth of 15-minute readings to the utility. And the whole process for a day, if you aggregate all those brief bursts of data transmission, it turns out that the meter communicates about 1 minute a day.
1 minute out of a whole day, that's pretty amazing. But even in that 1 minute, I understand that the wattage that it's using is relatively low compared to other things that you have around the house.
Yeah, the meter's about 1/4 of a watt, and compared to a cell phone, which could be 2 or 3 watts, your microwave, and nobody sits around with their head up next to the microwave, but
I do at times, but hey, that's just...
Microwave has a lot more power.
Now, if we're talking about having the customer's electric or data being compiled by the meter and being transmitted wirelessly, tell me a little bit, is it secure?
It's very secure. In fact, the encryption of that wireless transmission is 128 bits KB and kilobits, and it's the same encryption that you use when you check your bank statement online.
Okay, and since we said that the new meter is pretty much as accurate as the old meter, then should people notice any change at all once they essentially just get the meter put on their house or business?
Changing the meter itself will not change anything. It's going to accurately record the usage in the home, which is the whole purpose for having a meter in the first place.
So the recording is the same, so on the base level, nothing should change with that. However, what could change a little bit down the road is that the meter will then be able to provide more information to the customer?
That's right.
Okay.
In fact, with the new meters, there'll be 2 communications methodologies. One is the customer will be able to go to a web portal and see what yesterday's usage was, and then as we get further along, the meter will also communicate to a display or to other equipment inside the home.
I got you. And one last question that you might get from the customers a little bit about this is the new meters. Are the customers going to have to pay for these new meters?
Now, actually, all of our upgrades that we're doing will be paid by the city from the operational savings that we anticipate.
Okay. And once the meters are installed, will you take time to test them?
Well, all the meters will be individually tested at the factory before they're delivered to Leesburg. Leesburg will take a random sample from each meter batch, and we will test those meters also.
Now, Paul, we're talking a lot about the residential customers and how they might see things around the home. I want to talk in our next show about our commercial customers and ways the city is already conserving energy, beating that peak time.
Okay.